My boyfriend told me to shut up, and he's never regretted anything more. My boyfriend Felipe had been making little comments about my talking for months, saying I could bore anyone to death or asking if I ever ran out of things to say. I told myself it was just him joking, but one night at his best friend's party, I was telling her about my promotion, and he said, "Jesus Christ, would you just shut the F up for once in your life?" he said, loud enough for the whole party to hear. "Nobody cares about your boring job, and you sound like a desperate attention whore." Everyone went dead silent while my face burned, and Felipe just laughed and said this was what he dealt with every day. I didn't say another word the rest of the night, and Felipe was loving it on the drive home, cranking up the music and going on about how peaceful everything was without my yapping. When I stayed quiet through Sunday breakfast too, he literally kissed my forehead and said we should do this more often. I didn't talk the rest of Sunday, which he seemed to love, but then Monday morning he missed his huge presentation because I didn't remind him to set his alarm like I always did. He woke up 2 hours late, losing his mind about why I didn't wake him. I just stared at him while he ran around like a headless chicken trying to find his laptop and his good tie. His boss called to tell him not to bother coming in at all, and Felipe spent the whole night raging about almost getting fired while I sat there silent, making him even madder. "This is your fault," he kept saying, but I just looked at him with dead eyes and said nothing. Then he completely forgot his mom's 60th birthday dinner, because I usually handle all family stuff for him. She left 6 sobbing voicemails that I obviously didn't mention, each one more hysterical than the last, and by the time he checked his phone, she was convinced he hated her. He called me a psycho bitch for taking this so far, but honestly his tantrum just made me more committed to never speaking to him again. His mom called his sister crying about how her only son had abandoned her, and suddenly the whole family was involved in the drama. Everything snowballed from there because his coworker had stopped by our apartment Tuesday when he wasn't home, and I just stood there mute while she asked if I was okay for like 10 minutes straight. She kept asking if Felipe hurt me, if I needed help, if I could blink twice for yes, and I just stared at her until she left looking terrified. She went back to the office convinced Felipe was abusing me, and suddenly he was getting called into meetings about domestic violence resources and mandatory counseling. His boss literally asked if they needed to do a welfare check on me, and Felipe had to explain that I was giving him the silent treatment, which made him sound even more like an abuser. Friday's company gala was absolutely beautiful to watch unfold. Every executive who tried talking to me got complete silence while Felipe scrambled to explain I was just shy, which nobody bought because I'd been chatty at last year's event. The CEO's wife cornered me in the bathroom trying to slip me women's shelter pamphlets, and when I wouldn't respond, she called security to make sure Felipe wasn't holding me hostage or something. HR put him on immediate leave before we even made it to the parking lot, saying they needed to investigate the concerning reports about his home situation. Saturday, his friends came over for game night and finally understood why everyone was worried. "What the hell did you do to her?" his best friend asked after I served snacks without saying a word. Felipe actually admitted what he'd said, and you could feel the temperature drop. They all left making excuses about early mornings and forgotten commitments, and his best friend told me I deserved better on his way out, which made Felipe throw a beer bottle at the wall after they were gone. By Sunday, Felipe was coming apart at the seams because his sister was threatening to call the cops. His mom had disowned him, and his job was investigating him for abuse. "Just say something," he screamed, following me around the house. "One word, and this nightmare ends." But I walked past him toward the garage to grab orange juice from the spare fridge, still not making a sound even when he grabbed my arm trying to stop me. The garage was a death trap of crap from the previous owners. Paint cans from the 80s, boxes of rusted tools, old chemicals, all piled on these rickety metal shelves that looked like they'd collapse if you breathed on them wrong. He followed me in there, still screaming about how I was destroying his life when he positioned himself right under the worst shelf, loaded with ancient paint cans that had to weigh a ton. He was gesturing so hard the whole thing started shaking, and I watched the rusty bracket bend under 200 pounds of toxic chemicals. "You know what? You're right. I don't want your voice back. I don't even want you anymore," he yelled. "You were getting fat anyway. Now at least you're fat and quiet." The shelf made this horrible groaning sound and started tipping forward, all those cans sliding toward the edge while Felipe kept ranting about how much better his life was now. The bracket snapped completely and everything started falling toward his skull. Full story on the channel below.